Good evening. Today is November 2nd. Happy Labor Day 2019. My name is Olawale Okabolo of Spartacus Trading Corporation, where serious advanced traders come to train and learn. Apologize for not putting out a couple of reports last week. I live in South Florida, and we were dealing with the threat of hurricanes. That threat is still on. So tomorrow I may or may not put a pre-market report depending on what's going on and the amount of cleanup that we have to do. With that said, let's just jump right into it. On the monthly chart, we're starting a new month, the month of September. Right now, it's safe to say that we are inside the month of August. Pretty simple. Something to pay attention to for this month. You can put your 2 month balance area. You take the August high, August low divided by two. That'll get you a balance area. That'll get you the 2 month half back. Something of note that actually the 2 month half back is right here on the settle for August. So to make things simple, pay attention to August settle. What happens with the market? Are we trading above or below August settle? That'll let you know if we're trading above or below the halfway mark of August. Since September opened within August, it's safe to say we're in a 2 month balance area. Go to the weekly. Sure, everybody's been talking about it. We're in a multi week balance area. So I'm just going to pay attention to two halfbacks. That would be the 2 week halfback. This is today's trade. It was half a day today in the New York pit, and this is last week. So I'm paying attention to the 2 week halfback, and also, well, three halfbacks I'm paying attention to: the 2 week halfback, the 5 week halfback, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the halfway mark of this 5 week balance area. So I'm paying attention to the 2 week halfback, the 5 week halfback, and then if there's anything serious to the upside, then we'll have the 6 week halfback. I'll show you on my charts how that all plays out. Just give me a second. And then on the daily, also something I want you to pay attention to. We are making higher lows on the weekly. This week just started. If we can't breach last week's low, we're still technically time framing up or consolidating with higher lows looking to break out. You can see what's going on here. We got a multi-week highs, up here, as well as if we take this out at anything serious to the downside, we got weekly lows that are not that far from each other. It could be potential destinations to the downside. The daily pretty much says the same thing as the weekly, only that you just have a lot more days, as you can see. One thing you want to pay attention to, and I'll bring it in on the profiles, if we begin to get acceptance above, uh, I would say probably the settle, August settle, which is that's the halfway mark. What is the settle? 21 quarter. So if we begin to trade above 21 quarter, thereabouts, it's probably the probability of now going after these highs, which we all know stops are above these highs. It's pretty much on. So it's a matter of trying to find your setup to get you on the right side of the trade and probably ride that sucker out and see what happens here at the highs. If there's a lot of stops, we should break out of this balance, which that correlates with the 5 week, 3, 4, 5, 5 week balance area. That should correlate with that, taking us up. And now we're trading back within uh, this weekly range from a couple of weeks ago. So something you want to pay attention to, definitely, definitely, definitely monitor the settle. Monitor the settle from August. Let's go to the profiles, bring this all together. This is going to be real simple on the profiles. I have the references already marked out. You want to follow value. Your first clue, because this is a poor high from today, a half a day session. Your first clue that we possibly could begin to start to challenge these highs that I've talked about, these weekly highs. Your first clue is closing this double distribution. Then, if there's any continuation, you want to see value, or if we open above here, you want to see value build above this double distribution. As the days continue throughout the week, not saying everything's going to happen in one day. It could if we get the right news, which we'll talk about news later. Well, let's talk about news now. Right now is going to this week is a light week when it comes to economic news. The Fed chair speaks on Friday in Switzerland around lunchtime, 12:30 Eastern time, talking about monetary policies or whatever he's going to talk about. Who cares? But he could bring some volatility into the market. Also, you have the geopolitical thing going on with China and the trade wars. I don't know if it's geopolitical, but you understand. Everybody knows what's going on with China and the trade wars in U.S. That can bring some volatility. But if China trade talks is pretty quiet, the market should trade on its own until probably Friday if the Fed chair says something to get the market all fired up. So with that said, your first clue that hey, we're heading possibly to challenge the highs, double distribution is closed. Value, at least on that same day tomorrow, begins to develop above here, showing continuation. If not, you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. As the days in the week goes on, you want to see value continue to one time frame higher. For example, this yellow box represents value. You want to, in this case, just using this as an example, this is one time framing lower one day. What you want to see is a case for value, not price. At the end of the day, value continues to one time frame higher, taking you above. First of all, September's open. That's a clue, which we got a poor high. These are signals. These are things that get you on board with the trade going in the right direction if you find your setup, or at least give you asymmetrical opportunity to enter the trade and a spot to put your stop. Then you begin to receive further confirmation, getting above August settle, which I talked about on the bar charts. Let's bring in the bar charts. So this is August settle. We begin to trade above August settle. That basically means we could possibly tag this point of control that hasn't been revisited. And we begin to trade higher. You want to watch value development. We want to close this double distribution. And then we probably got some action to the upside. Why am I talking about the upside? As I talked about using the bar charts, we understand that there's stops up above here. So put yourself in these traders' shoes who are looking to short the market. If the market begins to slowly rise, first from September's open, that means we're up thus far for the month of September. We begin to trade above August settle. That means we're up thus far the month of September in relation to August. Remember, we're talking monthly references, not your daytime or weekly references, monthly references. So somebody greater than the day time frame is watching this stuff. And for those shorts, maybe of the short term nature, more than likely with all those stops hanging out up here, they're going to begin to start to cover their trade. You know it's on if we close this double distribution and the market continues to show strength trading to the upside. You want to monitor for one time framing, or you can get a double distribution taking us up. If it is indeed short covering rally, you should see some a short covering rally. You should see some conviction in the market going higher. Okay, so now let's talk about the downside. If there's nothing happening with the up move that I've just explained in detail, your first clue would be we don't close this double distribution, because as you can see from the volume today, it's very, very, very light. If the market has no desire on closing this double distribution, because this double distribution represents excess, a new auction to the downside. If the market tomorrow being Tuesday, the 3rd, or throughout the rest of the week shows no desire to close this double distribution, you probably got an new auction to the downside, and you want to pay attention to your downside references. One thing to monitor for, we have the 2 week half back that I talked about. It's the halfway mark of the 2 week balance area. This 2 week balance area, 1, 2, that 2 week half back represents the halfway mark. So it lets you know that potentially we are trading lower in the lower half of August of this last week's range. We'll be trading the lower half of last week's range. That's what this 2 week balance area is. More continuation. 5 week half back. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're trading below the halfway mark of this 5 week balance area. Make sense? Then we begin to challenge last week's low. We get some acceptance below last week low. Then we have some weekly lows, as you can see clearly marked here. Some weekly lows this market will begin to challenge. You want to take it one step at a time. You want to follow value, not price, because you could get misled by price. And if you're on the trade, you just monitor for one time framing or a double distribution. You want to see some elongation. You want to see some continuation. If we start to develop with lower value tomorrow, being Tuesday, then more than likely we're probably trading lower. You have to have that confirmation. You need to get that confirmation via one time framing or a double distribution. If we open up lower and the market begins to one time frame higher, you need to give up on the short side, go with the market, because we understand that there's a lot of, looking at the bar charts, there's a lot of selling pressure that's trying to take this market lower. They can't get what they want. Their stops are already up here. They're going to begin to cover. They begin to cover, we'll have that scenario that I talked about, watching value, or if value is lower, right? We get one time frame and continue to one time frame. We're going to watch these references and look for an opportunity to get on with the A semi trade and kind of ride this sucker out. So if you trade options, you can have a great opportunity to initiate an option position. You'll quickly know if you're wrong based on what I talked about earlier, so you can rewind this video. Or if you're trading outrights, I think it's going to be a lot more challenging. I don't know, unless you're going to hold overnight, to be able to reap the full benefit of the up move or the down move. So just be careful, look for your setups, watch where value develops. And once you're in the trade, you want to see continuation via one time frame is the best indicator that the trade is working for you. All right. That's all I got. This is Olawale Okabola, Spartacus Trading Corporation, where serious advanced traders come to train and learn. And I am your e-mini specialist. Have a good day, everybody.